Rally Besties, welcome back to the Writing with Anna New podcast. We'll talk about all things writing. In today's episode, I am so excited because we're going to be talking about content, specifically writing content and how to grow your author platform. And I think definitely there's a sort of, I haven't really found too much, about writing content and how to grow as like an author or a writer, ever, like on anything really. I mean, there's lots of like different posts and many things, but I don't think someone's made like a very in-depth thing about how to start and grow your author sort of platform. So this is literally for you babes. Like if you need some advice, like girl, I got it. I got it. So in today's episode, we're going to be talking about how to start and how to, just basically some tips about how to grow your authortube channel, your writergram, your podcast, anything like that. And we're just going to get straight into that. However, I do want to say quickly that this episode was actually like inspired by two wonderful writers who gave me this suggestion, this particular topic on my Discord channel. So if you guys definitely want to check that out, or if you need if you need a place to ask me to do particular content or particular topics, go to my Discord channel. It's also an amazing community over there. So I'll have it linked down below always. And yeah, I have this little video suggestions box. So if you ever need anything or want me to talk about something more in depth that I talk about in this video, go check that out because I look at that suggestions box like every week or so. And yeah, here we are. So anyways, let's go ahead and get into this episode. So the first thing I just want to quickly say is if you haven't started a platform, so this is like you've literally just thought about it and seriously, I encourage you to, please, this is a sign. So of course, please start it. But the first thing you should do before you actually start or commit to anything is to understand two things. One, what sort of writing content you want to create, and two, what platform do you want to commit to? So the first sort of decision you need to make is in terms with what sort of writing content do you feel drawn to? Is it more so advice or is it more so vlog styled content, more of like your writing journey? And I fall into the first category in terms of my YouTube channel. But presumably, I kind of think that I fall into the second category for my Instagram. So it's very much up to you. I use YouTube as more of my advice sort of content, and my Instagram is more of an inspirational space for writers. And that really helps me. So if you maybe just think about that, what sort of content you want to create. Of course, this very much feeds into the second sort of thing I alluded to, which was the platform you're going to choose. So if you're thinking about, oh, I want to really talk about my books and I really want to show people, I want to make my coffee on camera and I want to film myself, do a time lapse, like that sort of longer form content, you're going to be probably going into that category of writing journey, your writing experience, more vlogging style. So therefore, YouTube, or maybe you want to go into just talking about writing and just ranting, maybe podcast. And then of course, Instagram is more so shorter form content, which can be like more advice. And it's a lot easier to do those little carousels or cute little reels and stuff like that. And just kind of have like a more of a photo based platform, which is so cool. And I think you can also do all of them. I mean, I have a podcast, I have a YouTube channel, and I do have an Instagram. So I'm doing literally all of those things and it is doable. Okay, so as soon as you have your platform sort of established, it's time to seriously just start posting. And something like I keep talking to about with my best friend Tiana. So Tiana, if you're listening in, hello. Are you working on that podcast? Are you working on that podcast? I think consistency and practice is key. Do not get caught up in what you're going to name your channel or what sort of profile picture you're going to have for your Instagram or what name you're going to have for your podcast or what your intro is going to be. Like just decide and that literally will become it. And I think like it's the same principle of writing. Like the best things that I write come from spontaneously writing it the same way, like, coming up with a intro for your podcast can easily just become your intro to your podcast. And I think especially knowing that you can change it in the future is really comforting. And when people kind of say that, oh, I don't know, I don't know what my aesthetic's going to be, I don't know, well, my profile picture is going to be, I think it's too tacky. I don't know if I, blah, blah, blah. Like, just start and you can change it later. Like, part of the process of creating and committing to a platform is finding what you like and finding what sort of content you enjoy making. And I think it's literally just practice, and it just feels so terrible. And I get so angry and annoyed where these sorts of little tiny things, like what font should I use, like that's stopping you from creating a post. Like, just create it, like just make it. And I think this very much is like reflective on my sort of content I make, because I like film 3 videos usually a day because my uni schedule is pretty hectic. So that's like what I have to do. And I just decide, like literally as I'm setting up the camera, what video I'm going to make. And I don't script. I just blurt whatever I have in my mind. Like, literally all my tutorial based videos is just me like thinking and talking it through and editing it. And then it's just like, bam. And then I find myself saying some really good things. So again, spontaneous things and just deciding on a whim usually is like your best ideas, or usually the best decisions. So have faith in that gut feeling. So that's kind of like the main thing I wanted to say with that, and actually starting and, committing to it. Just post. Just continue posting, and you will, through that journey, find the content you want to make. Okay, so the next thing has to do with, you're probably, I'm guessing, maybe you have commitments in your life. Maybe you're in school, you're in uni or something like that, and you sometimes don't have time to make content very consistently, which is totally fine. But I think having consistency isn't the problem. It's more so finding little pockets of time to catch up and do it. And I think, like, I don't know, I just post whenever I can. Like, I'm not so much concerned with the idea of scheduling. I honestly think that's kind of toxic in a way, especially for something you really, really love, which is content creating. So whenever I have a video, I don't focus on, oh, I need to get this video done by this time, or I already have a video edited and ready, but I can't post it till Wednesday because Wednesday is when I post my writing video. Just post it. Like, just post it. Like, even if it's not the time, like, don't get concerned about all these little things, about having a schedule, about ensuring, you have the perfect caption. Like, just post it and continue. Like, just continually think about the next thing. And that doesn't mean to say that you shouldn't focus on what you're doing, but more so just, you're creating something, and that creative thing is like there, right? It just needs to be posted. And don't concern yourself with what happens after it's posted. Like, you already did the work of creating something. Why do you need to worry about how it's performing? Focus on the next thing. And I think that kind of comes into that sort of space of being a messy hard worker, because I definitely am a messy hard worker. Again, as I was saying, I just set up the camera and I just blurt things out, and I work hard, but it's just like, it's messy, but it works, and I think finding something for you is important. And you may be the person who wants to schedule things, like that's totally fine. But in my experience, it just stresses me out and makes me feel like I'm in a corporate job, which I do not like. So yeah, just kind of having patience with that process and not being afraid of being someone who's messy and who just randomly posts on a Sunday night when you don't usually post it. Like, who cares? Like, it's fun. And I think especially with Instagram, if you are thinking about making a writergram, like that is especially for that in particular. Don't worry about, oh, I want to post this today, but I already posted. Bestie, just post again. Post again. Anyways, that's kind of like the second part of like continually trying. And now I'm actually going to get into some really quick tips. I have around 8 tips right here just to kind of finish off this episode. I hope what I mentioned previously and talked about previously made some sense. But yeah, just try your best and continually try your best. Okay, so these are the tips. Number 1, find a clear aesthetic. And of course, again, I maybe am kind of contradicting myself. You may not know your aesthetic, and sometimes I think a lot of people get really stressed about their life not being aesthetic or their wardrobe not being aesthetic. And I felt the exact same thing. I was not motivated to film because I'm like, it looks so terrible. But literally, It's not, because honestly, you think it looks mundane and boring just because you see it every single day. It's the same thing as your face. Like your face is beautiful, but to yourself it looks pretty boring and pretty mundane. But of course, like it's the same for everything. So have faith and like know that your new perspective, your room, even your sorts of like clothing, that's just like your aesthetic, and like naturally that's your aesthetic, and sometimes it works like that. So don't feel bad about, yeah, just thinking like, oh, I'm not aesthetic enough to take photos. Like if you're that concerned, find places, make a little corner of your room that is aesthetic and see how that goes and stuff like that. So yeah, that's number one. Don't be afraid of your aesthetic, but also try to find an aesthetic that fits you. And I guess if that has to do with also Instagram, including like the fonts you use for your stories, it's just fun to kind of think about that stuff, but know you can change it. That's the same with like your feed layout. Look at my feed layout. It looks pretty cool. But yeah, just like again, it's just practice and you will find an aesthetic. People all the time talk about my aesthetic. Like, oh my gosh, she's so aesthetic. And that literally is like my goal in life. So I know I'm kind of just saying like, oh, it doesn't matter. I know I have an aesthetic life, but that's just because I've made it aesthetic. If I show you, I will show you my desk right now and you can tell me if it's aesthetic or not. Okay, this is what my desk looks like right now. As you can see, I'm filming my podcast and this is what my desk looks like. Is it very aesthetic? No. So yeah, don't worry, social media is a lie. I'm kidding. Just make intentional things and you can make it look aesthetic. Like if I took 2 minutes to just clean up my desk, I can make it look so aesthetic. So again, it's just work and finding opportunity to take photos. And I think that kind of leads into my second little tip, which was to always film and take photos and just like, what was it? I said like, yeah, be patient and everything can be content. Like I was walking to the doctor's today and I saw the street and it was a pretty normal street, but I just saw this little like, it was so hard to explain. It was just this beautiful little shot. I'm like, that would be nice for a little Instagram story and I could put like a little caption on it. And I just took the photo and then posted it like, a couple days later. So everything can be content in a sense where you can make a reel from a week of content. And that's simply you taking one photo every couple days. You know what I mean? So just know that, oh, like I have to keep taking photos like this. Or you can be on the opposite side of the spectrum, which is like, I always forget to take photos. I wish I took a photo there. Like it just is practice and you will get this. I promise you, but try to be intentional. Maybe wear like a pretty dress or go somewhere like a little cafe and say, I will take a photo, and you will take a photo and it'll look pretty and you can post it. There we go. Okay, let's get back onto the list actually. So number 2, technically, that was kind of like a sub little tip. Second thing is to have a clear vision. What are you kind of doing? What is your actual vision for your writing platform? It can be one to further or maybe gather an audience for your book, for example. Like that's such a different intention to number 2, having a writing community, or 3, to find people like you, or 4, just to inspire people, or 5, like, you know what I mean? Like those different intentions are so different from each other. So have a clear vision of what content what will be your content's end. You know what I mean? Like what sort of vibe what vibe do you want every single time you post, right? Okay, the third thing is goals. So the third tip is, yeah, just have goals. Usually these are follower goals or subscriber goals, or listener goals if you're doing podcasts. And usually it's very far off, but still doable. And usually I try to have more yearly goals. So for example, my current goal on my channel is to reach 100K. So I'm like 30K away, which is like it is a lot, okay? But like in the grand scheme of things, I think I will get there eventually. So it's like bigger goals that aren't completely out of your league. So I think definitely I have the potential to get up to 100K, but it will take a lot of work. So having a long-term goal, something you're looking at toward, again, your goal could be different. Your goal can maybe to find like your new best friend, your new writer best friend online, or maybe to interview this particular person on your podcast. Like that's your far off goal. My goal usually is easier with numbers. But yeah, that's kind of like always have some sort of one goal, one clear goal. Okay, number 4 is to share your story. Okay, this is, I hope you've listened till now because this is the most important tip I have, and that is to be transparent enough to share stuff about your story, whether that be excerpts of your book, poetry, your writing. Like if you're making a writing platform, if you're making like a writer YouTube channel, don't just film yourself making those pretty coffees, typing and say, this is project blue. This is project blue. And saying absolutely nothing. Like you can say like, I'm up to chapter 20. But what does that freaking say about your book? Like make sure your audience has something to root for you for. And this is especially for if you're making an experience slash like vlog styled, platform. Make sure you actually have space to share your book and your characters because that is what will excite your audience and that is what people will remember you for. Like, yes, you're a writer, of course, but what are you writing? What are you writing? You know what I mean? So I guess I'm kind of known for the unhinged stories about ghosts and graveyards and busking violinists in like 1700s London. You know what I mean? Like you have an identity in your books and don't be afraid to share them. Okay, number 5 is to show your face, and this can be definitely something that's definitely up to you. I find it completely freeing in a way to show my face on the internet and to be more vulnerable with you guys in that sort of sense. But it's up to you and your privacy. Again, I think it will make more sense if you wanted to make a writing platform but not show your face, to pursue something like a podcast or perhaps, an Instagram. But YouTube can be a little bit harder. So be mindful of that. And I do encourage you guys to show your beautiful faces to the world because I don't know, if you're going to be an author anyways, like you're going to have that photo at the end of the book. So let them know what you look like. Okay, number 6. I don't know what that says. I'm going to move on to number 7. Okay. Plan content, but also make spontaneous content. Again, like as I was saying with just posting and not being too obsessed with the idea of scheduling or stuff like that, literally spontaneously make a video. Make a video. If you just have a thought and you're on a walk, film yourself walking. Don't be restricted to also the type of aesthetic you have or the background, or like, no, I need to film this video, blah blah blah. Like film it, and you might not even post it, but still it's practice in that sense. So just film yourself spontaneously, take a spontaneous reel. It can go viral, you never know, like, you know what I mean? And I think like the best sort of content that I love is just random videos. Rachel does this a lot. Rachel writes. I love it when she just pulls out a camera and starts talking for like 20 minutes. And it's literally the best thing. Like she was like, I don't know, I just felt like pulling out the camera spontaneously. It's my most favorite video. You know what I mean? And that's like where you catch your genuineness and the sort of heart of your, I don't know, the heart of your content. You know what I mean? Like it's spontaneous and it's you and it's very unfiltered. And that's what my podcast literally is. Like I know I'm not very professional in this podcast, which is probably not a good thing. Watch my videos. My videos are a lot more professional, but as you can see, the lighting has changed quite drastically because the sun has been going down. But I just spontaneously wanted to make a podcast because I wanted to, even if I have a podcast lined up already. I just felt like making another podcast. Like spontaneous stuff is the good stuff. Someone needs to quote that in the comments. Okay. The last tip, I think, is like kind of tip 8/7 is to practice. But no, you'll never get perfect. Know that you'll never get the perfect feed, the perfect video. You will never find the perfect shot. Like, you'll never find the perfect caption. Like, and that's what I love. Like, that is what I love. That sort of genuineness and that sort of like, I don't know, unperfectness is what makes you you. And I think a lot of people think too much about making their feed look pretty or their content sort of align, and they're really scared about branching out or doing a random, sort of video. Do it. And you might discover something about yourself. Maybe your audience knows something a little bit more different about you. You know what I mean? Like, you don't need to be in a box. And that's what I love about content creation is that when you're in a niche, it still won't define your content, and it still does not force you to make that same content you've always made. It obviously does help, and that's why it's obvious that you've picked writing as a niche. But I think it's important to know that you don't have to stay in writing. You can move to book content, you can move to art content, you can move to just commentary content, or I don't know, like you can literally do anything. So practicing, and as you continually go through your content, you will get niche and you will find what you like, and you will be in a place where people recognize you for your particular type of content. So even though there's lots of author tubers on YouTube, I can specifically find a point of difference in every single one of my favorite content creators. You know what I mean? Like that's why it's different. And I think trusting yourself in that process is really important. And knowing that you will get more efficient, and you will get easier, and you will just be able to pull out a camera and say, hey guys, hey. So yeah, make sure all those little things, or yeah, just don't get discouraged and just do it. Like literally all the time. And I think this is me closing up, so don't worry. I'm not gonna chew your ear off anymore. But throughout my whole life, I've kind of had this channel, like been thinking about content creating and wanting to content create. And there's so many people that kind of come to me and they're like, wow, that looks so cool. I'm like, you can do it too. And I think the reason why I encourage everyone to start a YouTube channel or some sort of platform is because it teaches you so much about skills, but also about yourself. And it, in a way, builds your character by helping you be more resilient, by helping you connect with people, by helping you have a purpose. I am so sorry about that. My camera just died because my phone. Look at how unaesthetic my room is. Woo! Please just don't mind my half-made bed. And the clothes on the floor. Don't mind. This is literally me making a episode about content creation, and this being the most messy random video ever. But I think I'm gonna end there. What I was basically talking about before is content creation will teach you so much about yourself, and about resilience, and about building character, and about kind of what you want. And it will definitely help you in the long run, especially being an author. And yeah, I think it's just a fun thing to pursue, and something that you don't have to take too seriously, but you can also pursue as a literal job. So it's also just a fun hobby. So if it can lead to something like that as a job, that's amazing. So I think that's kind of it to leave you guys with. I don't know what else I was literally just saying. Again, I like my channel because of how candid it is, how ridiculous it is. And that's honestly why I love all my different platforms, is because I show different parts of myself. Especially this podcast, for example, I just ramble. I just ramble and I mumble, and you probably can't hear half the stuff I'm saying, which is totally fine, I guess. When my Instagram is completely different, it's all pretty. I look pretty, I think, most of the time. And I have aesthetic stuff and like cool reels. And then my channel, it's like professional, like, yes, hey guys, today. But I have fun, you know what I mean? So finding identities in different parts of platforms and in your whole brand in itself is really important. And just, I'm allowed to express different parts of myself in different platforms. So I do encourage you guys that if you especially have a YouTube channel, to have an Instagram, or to have an Instagram and maybe pursue podcasting. You know what I mean? I think two is definitely better than one. And just see how you go and branch out, because it's really fun. Start a podcast, please. I'll listen to you. Anyways, guys, sorry for the long episode, and sorry for, of course, the chaoticness and the messiness of my room behind me. Again, you saw my videos. It looked aesthetic at the start of the video, but now it looks like this. That's just how it is, besties. But I really encourage you guys to start that like author platform, to start making content and see how you go. And if you guys need more help, or if you need more tips or more concrete information about specific things, just let me know down below in the comments if you are on my YouTube channel. But I love you guys, and I hope to see you in my next writing episode. Okay, bye everyone.